Hello friends and comrades, and welcome to another video. In this one I'll be talking about the possible Ukrainian counteroffensive in Zaporizhzhia and what it would look like. So starting off, we're looking at the Ukraine topographic map where we see the elevation of the terrain, and there are three important points. The first one is this valley here that goes all the way from the Azov Sea all the way up to the north, and then there's the hills, valleys in the east, and the rest is open area. So taking that into mind, we look at the normal map, the Ukraine war map. We map out these elevations this way, that we see the valleys going up here all the way to Tokmak, and then this whole area is hills and valleys, meaning that generally what's left of this is all open area. So generally we'll be looking at the invasion in a way where the Ukrainians will try to take everything west of this and create a defensive line that covers this area, as it allows them to use the natural fortifications of the fact that there's a valley and hills to build up defenses in, rather than building defenses in the open field that is left of this. So we will see the Ukrainians trying to push to Tokmak, as well as through Kamyansk to Vasilivka and all the way down to Melitopol. And a very important small village to the west is this called Vesele. And if we zoom in, we see that it is actually a hub of smaller roads that will allow the Ukrainians to cut off Melitopol from the west, as well as push down to the main highway between Melitopol and Kherson, allowing them to essentially speed through the Kherson-Zaporizhzhia borderline. And they will be pushing westwards towards the Dnipro River, allowing them to essentially cut off the Russian escape from Kherson, allowing them to completely cut off Kherson city from the rest of the region. And then finally, we'll be seeing them pushing southwards across Melitopol down to Crimea to cut off any supplies coming from Crimea to this area, meaning that generally they will attempt to isolate Crimea, isolate Kherson, and encircle Melitopol as they build a defensive line to the east. So this is actually a very complicated operation, and they will need a lot of planning and a lot of soldiers. Considering the buildup of Russian soldiers in the south, we would have to say there's about 100,000 soldiers in the south by the Russian Federation. This means that generally we have 25,000 in Kherson. That means leaves 75,000 in Melitopol, the rest of the Kherson region, as well as western Donbass. So generally the Ukrainians will have to 3 times that number, meaning they need about 200,000 soldiers for a normal military theory engagement. And considering the counteroffensive in Kharkiv, the Ukrainians actually said they had this 3-to-1 advantage, meaning that the Ukrainians would need a huge offensive, and they are not prepared for that right now. So I don't think it's very likely for the Ukrainians to start this counteroffensive, as this area is very wide and they will need a lot of troops to actually not be spread too thinly and allow the Russians to just counterattack and may take advantage of this situation. So generally what we will see is most likely them trying to take Tokmak as a start to kind of connect to the valley that separates the two areas, and by that hindering most of the transport between the two areas, and then prepare further for an invasion of Ernehodar to take back the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and then create some kind of defensive line by these roads to kind of cut off the area they have occupied back from the Russians, and allow them to create some defensive lines before they then further push on towards Melitopol once they've gathered enough troops. It'll be difficult for them to gather enough troops, however, considering that the Russians are still pushing in the Donbass region. So unless they want to give up the Donbass region, they will have to reach a stalemate until they get enough weapons and ammunition and training and so on from the Western nations, and at the same time avoid as many casualties as possible. However, we see them still counterattacking in the Kherson area, as well as starting a new counterattack in the Siversk area, and they are counterattacking in Liman. So generally speaking, this is most likely a distraction or a ruse to keep the Russian soldiers in the south and keep them from using them in the east to counteract these Ukrainian counteroffensives in the east. So we should have our focus around the Siversk, Liman area to see if the Ukrainians manage to push through, or if they'll end up being held back by the Russians. So generally, this should be our area of focus. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.